then Raj Bhavans cannot be used as instruments of party politics. I believe that the governor should be responsible enough to be a friend, philosopher, and guide to the state government and not be in an adversary position all the time. Say, I think the time has come for Parliament to look at the immunities which are given to governors and to consider what remedial measures need to be taken. This kind of a conflict is not going to help either the administration in the state or center-state relations. What is happening is undoubtedly unprecedented, both on the side of what the state has done and on what the governor was doing all this time. I think governors are appointed to be links between the center and the state and to help the smooth functioning of the federal system, not to create roadblocks and problems and create more problems than solve them. Unfortunately, this is happening. And I think the people of India are looking at it with astonishment. Why? That what Arif Mohammad Khan has been doing is constitutionally wrong. He has no excuse. And the state government is pleading for justice to be done to them as an elected government with legislation passed by the elected representatives of the state. How can you stop it? There will be a breakdown of the constitutional process.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Kerala government has moved the Supreme Court against Governor Arif Mohammad Khan's decision to reserve 7 bills for the assent of President Draupadi Murmu, stating that his conduct is manifestly arbitrary. Now, in the petition, Kerala government has sought to declare the act of the governor of Kerala in reserving the 7 bills. And I'm not going to name the bills because there are 7 bills. And for the consideration of the president, that the president sat over it and that act was illegal and it lacks in bona fides. Now, what the petition states, and I'm going to quote, that the conduct of the governor in keeping the bills pending for long and indefinite periods has thereafter reserving the bills for the consideration of the president without any reasons relatable to the Constitution is manifestly arbitrary and violates Article 14 of the Constitution. Equally, the aid and advice rendered by the Union of India to the President to withhold assent from the 4 bills, which are wholly within the domain of the state, while disclosing no reason whatsoever, is also manifestly arbitrary and violates Article 14 of the Constitution. So this time, Advocate C.K. Sasi, he has made he has made the President of India the party to the case, Governor Arif Mohammad, and also the union government. So that brings us to the question that is this act unprecedented? Because we've never heard a state government dragging the President of India to the court and for the public good, that the president has not given assent to the very important bills which were in the domain of the state. Joining me now this evening is a very special guest. Ex-Governor Margaret Alva joins us. Ma'am, thank you so much. And it's a pleasure having you on the program on a topic like this. And ma'am, what would you really say to this petition by the Kerala government against the President of India, against the governor? And is it something which is very, very unprecedented?
It is unprecedented. We have not heard of this happening ever before. But I suppose desperate situations call for desperate remedies. In the Constitution, there is no provision for impeachment of the governor, right? Or the president by a state government. So, what is the only way out for them is to approach the Supreme Court. I've been a governor. I have been governor with BJP chief ministers, though I was appointed by a Congress government. But then Raj Bhavans cannot be used as instruments of party politics. I believe that the governor should be responsible enough to be a friend, philosopher, and guide to the state government and not be in an adversary position all the time. We have been, seeing newspaper reports. Mr. Arif Khan has even gone and sat on the road in Dharna. I mean, these are things which governors are not expected to do. I do realize that state governments are within their powers to pass legislation. They are an elected government. And they have a right to run the state provided legislation is within the ambit of their powers. For a governor to sit in the Raj Bhavan and not approve them, send them to the president to delay them, is, I think, very, very unconstitutional and unfair. And I therefore think the only remedy they had was to approach the Supreme Court. If this governor does not listen, if the president sits over those bills, where do they go? And it is all on the advice of the union government. So,
But, ma'am, you've been a governor yourself, and the kind of immunity which is given to the governors on the basis of Article 361. Now, it doesn't allow the governors or the President of India to be dragged in the court. So, do you think that the court really will be able to consider all these aspects and take a call on this particular petition? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it is for the public good. It was well, the state government was well within the rights, but even then the president sat on the bill. So will the president of India, Draupadi Murmu, will be equally culpable in this case, as culpable as Governor Muhammad Arif?
as you know, both are protected by the Constitution, right?
Yes.
Now, that's why I'm saying the matter is sub judice. It's before the Supreme Court. And for me to say this should be done or that should be done would not be wise. But I do believe, now you saw what was happening in the Delhi government with the Lieutenant Governor and Mr. Kejriwal. They did not allow him to function. The Lieutenant Governor was actually running the state at the behest of the Home Ministry. The same happened when Kiran Bedi was in Pondicherry. The same is happening in Tamil Nadu with Governor Ravi. And what happened in Maharashtra? The governor went beyond all rules to change a government and swear it in at midnight in Raj Bhavan. When governors are all behaving this way, I think the time has come for Parliament to look at the immunities which are given to governors and to consider what remedial measures need to be taken. This kind of a conflict is not going to help either the administration in the state or center-state relations. We are a federal system. The states are given certain powers under the list. You have the state list, the central list of subjects, and the concurrent list. You cannot ignore constitutional provisions and run the states like they are your fiefdom. They are elected governments. And what is happening is undoubtedly unprecedented, both on the side of what the state has done and on what the governor was doing all this time.
But can Supreme Court really, cleanse this malady? If whatever call they take, because it's becoming a universal pattern. We saw what's happening in Tamil Nadu. We've already seen this petition coming from Kerala. We've already seen what was happening in Delhi when the rift between Arvind Kejriwal and the LG was quite known and well known, in fact. So this has almost become a pattern with the non BJP ruled states. So, can the Supreme Court really come hard on this and take a drastic call on the role of the governors?
You know, the Supreme Court, in the case of Governor Ravi in Tamil Nadu, had given directions very
Yes,
clearly to approve the bills. I'm not sure what exactly has happened, but the Supreme Court came down very heavily on the governor of Tamil Nadu. As I said, these are unprecedented situations. You've had governors working within their powers in Raj Bhavans. But today, unfortunately, Raj Bhavans are being used as party offices. They are not functioning as independent constitutional entities. I think governors are appointed to be links between the center and the state and to help the smooth functioning of the federal system, not to create roadblocks and problems and create more problems than solve them. Unfortunately, this is happening. And I think the people of India are looking at it with astonishment. Why? If the state governments, which are elected by the people, are passing legislation in the interest of their state, how can a governor who's an outsider for all practical purposes come there and impede the progress of that state? And therefore, I do expect the Supreme Court, though they cannot dismiss the governor or the president, to come out with certain very clear norms that should be followed by governors in,
absolutely.
in running the affairs of the state.
But since the governors have those gubernatorial powers, they're supposed to be the ceremonial heads, just like the president. I'm just wondering what kind of clear guidelines can the Supreme Court really come? After all, these are constitutional posts. There are certain inhibitions always, when you attack or maybe formulate guidelines for posts like these. Now, say, for example, I'm talking about Arif Mohammad. Now, look at him. He's done all this hanky panky job in Kerala, and now he's also given an additional charge of sorry.
Yeah.
Now he's been rewarded of another political assignment, and that is Bihar. And I don't know what's he's going to do over there. So, what would you say to this? I mean, was this kind of a thing happening also during the Congress years? Because we've seen how governors have functioned in those years as well. But has this become more brazen during
You,
BJP's rule?
do you recall what happened when the governor, I don't know which state it was, but when he did this, the Congress government at Delhi sent him home. You remember that? That was who was the home minister earlier? What was his name? Sardar Sahab. You know, he had to go home because the central government felt that he had violated the normal procedures in what he did. Therefore, I would say that the central government, and especially the president, is expected to safeguard the constitution, to safeguard the rights of the states, and not be a party to the partisan politics which are today going on. I am certainly of the opinion that what Arif Mohammad Khan has been doing is constitutionally wrong. He has no excuse. And the state government is pleading for justice to be done to them as an elected government with legislation passed by the elected representatives of the state. How can you stop it? There will be a breakdown of the constitutional process.
Right. But, ma'am, do you think that Supreme Court can really come up with clear guidelines given the kind of immunities they enjoy? And I mean, what I'm more worried about is that the political players the governors have become. Can Supreme Court really ask them to formulate clear guidelines and so that they don't get into any kind of political work? Now, how will governors refrain themselves?
The Supreme Court is there to safeguard the Constitution. The Supreme Court's basic right, basic duty is to see that the Constitution is respected and its provisions are followed by all constitutional entities. When they violate the normal procedures, I think the Supreme Court is duty bound to say this far and no further. The Supreme Court is duty bound to protect the Constitution, right? And when there is clear violation of the Constitution, I believe, I may be wrong, that the Supreme Court is duty bound to see that this balance, the pendulum, is restored. It
Right.
can't keep swinging to one side. It has to be maintained in certain balance between the center and the states. And the
Absolutely.
only body that can do it is the Supreme Court.
But, ma'am, these are times when people are doubting the approach of the Supreme Court as well. Now, say, for example, I will give you examples of election petitions, electoral bonds. It took so many years after which Supreme Court realized that, they need to take up this matter. Now, I'm just going to read out from a little this yesterday's, day before yesterday's petition of the Kerala government, where it's very clearly said by senior advocate K.K. Venugopal, who is appearing for the Kerala government. He's told the bench, which was headed by Chief Justice Sanjeev Khanna, that the pleas were urgent and they can be transferred to a bench headed by Justice J.B. Pardiwala, who had recently reserved the judgment on a similar petition by the Tamil Nadu government. So, what he has said now, it's very clear that the governor refers the pending bills to the president. The president keeps it for 1 year and 3 months. And yesterday, we received, my lords, the rejection with regards to the bills. And this is a very, very urgent matter. He has listed this out very clearly before the bench. Now, how urgently will the Supreme Court take up this matter? That's also another issue. What may be urgent for Kerala government, what may be urgent for you and me, might not be of the same urgency to the Supreme Court. What can then one do?
Well, I have no answer. I'm being honest. I expect the Supreme Court, as I said, as the guardian of the Constitution, to intervene and see that justice is done to the states. Where else can they go except the Supreme Court? If the president herself sits for a year and 3 months, which is unprecedented, means that she's party to the entire process of delaying it. That she's actually functioning at the behest of the central government, which is not expected. And
But
therefore, I
right.
believe, I believe unprecedented situations call for unprecedented responses. All this may not have been necessary in the past, but with what is happening not in one or two Raj Bhavans, but all over the country, if this is the situation, you either have to throw the Constitution to the winds, bury the federal system and its norms, and have free for all. If the states start defying the center tomorrow, if the states refuse to pay taxes to the center tomorrow, there could be different situations arising. Ultimately, it is the people who decide their government, right? So the people of Kerala have a right to legislation, which has been promised to them by the state government, which is not ultra virus of the constitution. If it is against the constitution, say so. This is the reason. This is the clause. This is what is wrong. They will correct it. I'll tell you, in the state in Karnataka, which is my state, I was talking recently to the governor about two bills which were sent back. He said very clearly, he told me these provisions I was unhappy with. I sent them back asking for a clarification. They gave me the clarification. I was satisfied and I approved them. So there has to be a discussion with the chief minister, the state government, the concerned departments, and try, if there is any lacuna in that legislation, to put it right, to correct it, and satisfy the governor that, okay, this you think is not proper, we will change it, we will amend it. That's how it has to function. Not just sit like a Mauni Baba for 1 year and say, well, I will not pass it. This is wrong. Absolutely wrong and unconstitutional.
But the moment you raise questions, especially governors, of course, now it's become mundane because every governor is behaving like that. If the governor belongs to a non-BJP ruled state, but it sounds really, really, like an unprecedented situation where you talk about the president of India in this manner. The president of
Yes.
India has been sitting over the bills for 1 year and 3 months, and then ultimately she rejects the bill and then sends it back. Now,
What did the governor do in West Bengal? You know
yeah,
what was happening in West Bengal.
yes.
I mean, I'm just telling you that it is shocking and it is disgusting, if I may say so. This is not the way governors are supposed to belong. And I'm surprised. I respect the President of India, a wonderful woman. Why is she falling in line with these unprecedented actions of the government and the governors?
No, but even though I hate to say a word like a rubber stamp president, but will people not be forced now to call her a rubber stamp president? If she's been keeping quiet, she doesn't open her mouth, she doesn't speak on issues where it is required, how would one label her then?
Well, people are the ultimate judges. They will judge her, but I can tell you, they can't impeach her. It has to be done by Parliament. And you know how the numbers are weighed in Parliament.
Yes.
You know how the system works. Such important bills in Parliament are just passed by voice vote without debate. So, where do you expect Parliament to take any corrective measures in the present situation?
No, but the
It
kind
is,
of
it is
immunity which,
literally, I literally look upon it that we are heading for a breakdown of the constitutional system. Appointment of constitutional uh, posts, the way the Chief Justice was removed from the committee. I mean, there are so many things that have been done which are shocking, but it goes on. How long can the people just keep quiet and take it? Even your electoral processes are not clean today. We know what's happening. So, where and to which forum do the states go, if not to the Supreme Court? And they have said it all. I expect the Supreme Court in this unprecedented situation to take clear and unprecedented decisions and sort the matter out once and for all.
true. But, ma'am, I want to ask you something that till the time the governors are political appointees, they are appointed by the central government. I'm sure this is bound to happen and it will lead to a constitutional breakdown, as you just explained. So, is there a need to bring about a mechanism change as far as the appointment of the governors is concerned? Do we need to change that, the mechanism of appointing the governors?
Many commissions have looked at this. There have been many committees. One of them was that the chief minister of the state should be consulted before a governor is appointed to the state. That was one of the suggestions. There have been various suggestions, but none of them have been implemented as yet. But perhaps the time has come now to review the entire process of appointment of governors, to make them independent, to make them neutral, and to make them function as um, constitutional heads of the state rather than as agents of the central ruling party. Yeah, today just Raj Bhavans have become party offices. Let me be honest.
I've lost your audio, ma'am. Hello, can you hear me, ma'am? Yeah,
I can hear you clearly.
yeah. No, I lost your audio in between. Yes, if you could just repeat your last line. I completely lost your audio. Yeah.
I'm saying that if the governors behave like party agents, use Raj Bhavans as party offices, then people are going to lose faith in the entire system. Governors are expected to be neutral, to be constitutional heads and links between the union and the states. That's what the constitution envisaged. But is that happening? That is the tragedy. And I think we are heading for a crisis unless these issues are sorted out quickly and in a fair manner.
Absolutely. So we'll have to wait and watch how this Supreme Court
Yes.
petition, which the petition which has been admitted in the Supreme Court, where does it head to? Can Supreme Court really come up with some clear guidelines and open a ray of hope for the federal structure, for the Constitution? We'll have to wait and see. Thank you so much,
Maybe,
Mr.
maybe a constitutional bench will have to be constituted to look at the provisions and maybe find that certain changes are very badly needed. That's for the Supreme Court to decide. But I do not want to comment because the matter is sub judice. I
Absolutely.
would be charged with contempt of court. But I do hope, in the interest of the nation and of the federal system, that a suitable and a just solution will be found.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining on HW. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.